Defined AI, enabling creators of the future.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first ever Queen of Data interview. As we celebrate the International Women's Day this March 8th, and as a strong gender equality advocates that we are at Defined AI, we are conducting interviews throughout the month of March with amazing women in the tech industry. Every Tuesday, a new interview will be up with stories of strong and fierce women who thrive in male dominated industries. Our first guest today here with us is Meenoo Rami. Meeno is the author of the book Thrive and a national board certified teacher who taught English in Philadelphia for 10 years. Meeno is a teacher consultant for the National Writing Project and an instructor in Arcadia University School of Education. Meeno has worked as a teaching fellow with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where she led a portfolio to help teachers refine their practice through collaboration. Currently, Meeno works as a principal product manager focused on building welcoming experience for youngest players and their families on Xbox at Microsoft. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Meeno. It's an honor to have you.
No, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really excited that you all are doing this series and you included me in it. I'm honored, so thank you.
It's an honor for us. And first things first, so how does an English teacher ends up working as a gaming product manager for a big tech company?
Yeah, I mean, I think truthfully, I didn't plan my career like a ladder. Like first I'll do this, and then I'll achieve this, and then I hope to get to this place. Really, I was happy being an educator in Philadelphia, and while I was in the classroom, I wanted to feel less alone and feel like I was part of a community that was supporting one another, sharing ideas, sharing best practices. So I created a network for English teachers via Twitter. And that work got noticed by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who you mentioned in my introduction. And when someone left the Gates Foundation and came to Microsoft, at that time, Microsoft had just purchased Minecraft Education, and they were looking for someone like me on the founding team who can both look at gaming and technology, but also education and what it might take to bring world's most popular game into the classrooms around the world. And so each of those experiences led to the one after that. And I think I consider my past to be a blessing. And I also want to acknowledge the people who have opened doors for me. A career like mine just doesn't happen. And I'm grateful for the connections that I've had and the doors that people have opened for me. And when I think about how I can pay it forward, that's something on top of my mind because others have done that for me.
Absolutely. And talking about how people come together in a community, that's a very important path from your part from your path. And I also saw that you're an active member of the Lesbians Who Tech, and that you have also created your own network of English teachers for the English teachers to be able to share resources and ideas and support in one another. What do you feel is the role of these communities in the overall picture? What's the impact that you see?
Yeah, I think whenever one can be part of a community where you can openly share your ideas, where you can share your challenges, where you can learn from others, that's the most incredible spaces to be in. And like you mentioned, my online teacher network via Twitter, I'm part of product management groups online. I am active on LinkedIn, and I think all of those places allow me to be at the intersection of gaming, technology, and education, where I get to look at all of these domains from an interesting perspective because I'm at the intersection of them. And I think they help me better understand each of them better, because oftentimes people don't have that diverse experience or path that I've been fortunate to have. And each of these communities I intentionally try to contribute to, and then I intentionally seek out others who I can learn from, grow from, model myself after, and actively look for either traits or actions that I can also model myself after. And I think we're lucky enough to have an open web and have these communities, and I think access to them have been an important part of my journey about how I think about the ways that I want to keep growing and I want to keep learning.
Absolutely. How do you feel that tech and the role of these communities in tech as well to contribute to a diverse and inclusive and less biased world?
I think that's a really important piece, because it's when, like-minded people and people with similar backgrounds come together in these spaces. And then when they share their experiences about whether it's working in tech or, sometimes the benefits of it, sometimes the challenges of it, that's when we can actually hear, oh wow, that also happened to you. That happened to me, but I thought I was the only one, or I was alone. And so I think these communities can also be places where people can find other people like them, share experiences, and then also share ideas about how to overcome those challenges. And I think these groups can also be advocates for, like you said, a less biased and more inclusive world, and especially in tech.
Having this belonging sense is very impactful, right?
Absolutely. I think when people feel seen, heard, and understood, and when they can bring their full selves to work, that's when they can do their best work. And I think every company, every manager is trying to figure that out, especially in this challenging time that we're all living through and working through.
Absolutely. And that's a very important point, especially in this world, right? That
Yeah.
feeling this belonging is more and more difficult.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There are more ways to feel divided than ever, but I think intentionally seeking out these communities and ways that we can connect with other people, ask for help, and also pay that help forward. Maybe we can reduce that sense of isolation or being alone.
Awesome. And I read on your website that as a South Asian, non-binary, masculine presenting person, you feel that it can get a little bit lonely in the tech industry.
Yeah.
What are the main challenges that you face while working in such a male-dominated area?
I don't think there is any one challenge. I think anyone who has entered a room where maybe they're the only person of color can relate to my experiences, or maybe they're the only person at the table that looks like them or has the same life experiences, can maybe relate to my experiences. But I think it has also been both a challenge, but also a blessing for me to then learn from that experience, observe what that does to me, and then have empathy for other people who might be going through the same thing. So wanting to open doors for others, supporting other people on their own journey has become important to me, because I know that I need that along my own journey. And so I think it's both a challenge, but it's also an incentive for me to do better.
That's great. And that's where the communities can also come in, right? To support, to give that diverse approach and to make the feeling of belonging pop.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree.
What advice would you give to people who want to make it in tech?
I don't think there is like one singular advice that can work for everyone, but some of the things that I think are helpful to consider is, believe in your own experience and your own expertise. If you have an opportunity to apply or to be interviewed, continue to bring value to the table by sharing what you know and what you believe. Be willing to learn and grow as always. Support others along the way. And then, some of the things that I've described in my book, like find a mentor, join a network, those things have also helped me.
Right. And finding a mentor is very important. I think so as well. To the belonging overall sense, it helps a lot to the younger tech folks.
Absolutely.
And talking about role models and mentors, who is a role model for you in tech?
I actually thought about this morning, because there are two, and it's funny enough, they're both women. There are two women that come to my mind. One is my current manager, Kim, at Xbox and Microsoft, and another manager at Microsoft that I worked for prior to my role at Xbox. Her name is Sarah, and both of them are quite different as leaders, but both of them are strong. They are highly successful leaders inside Microsoft. And some of the things that I've learned from them is, just the way they treat people, the way they go out of their way to make sure that people feel seen, heard, and understood. One of the things that I learned from Sarah is to take no opportunity for granted. Never feel like, oh, I've been here for 5 years, so, I can coast or take it easy, but always give your very best, and always, try your very best in everything you take on, which all seem like very obvious things, but the way they live those values and the way they model those values is something that stands out to me about Kim and Sarah.
Awesome. That's great feedback here too.
Yeah.
What changes would you like to see in the tech world in the next couple of years?
Wow, that's a big question. I think there are lots of challenges. Since I've worked with young people, teenagers for a very long time in my career as an educator, I often tend to look at the world through their lens. And, things like climate change, racial justice, stopping spreading of misinformation, protecting young people on the web and on platforms seems like all of those seem like very worthy challenges for us to take on, both in tech and in society. And I hope that my colleagues at Microsoft and at other companies around the world will continue to create value, solve hard problems, and remain optimistic about the world. I think there is still a lot of great things to do and experience, and I feel like one of the most important things that we can do is remain optimistic.
How do you feel that we can help that younger community that you were just talking about, and they're so concerned about these subjects that you just covered? How can we empower them to keep on that fight? How can we help them?
I think this is counterintuitive, but I think they're actually teaching us. And if you look at the way that they're organizing online, the way that they react to these challenges, they often respond with community and sense of humor and optimism. So I think instead of saying that like we should empower them, I feel like we should actually be inspired by them and learn from them because they're already doing it, and they're already addressing those issues.
That's a very good point, and I think I mean, time flies by in these conversations.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to end our conversation with such an inspiring quote. It was such an interesting and insightful conversation, Meeno. Thank you so much for your time here today with us.
Thank you, Katerina. Thank you so much. Thanks for this opportunity.
To everyone who's tuned in, make sure you don't miss out next Tuesday interview here on our LinkedIn. See you all soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Defined AI, enabling creators of the future.